Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Missing Manual. Today, we are going to talk about conference season and how, as a practitioner, no matter if you're in HR, talent acquisition, or some other industry, how you look at conferences, how you determine which conferences you go to. We're going to talk about some of the talent acquisition and HR conferences and how we make those decisions. Well, I'm Julia, here with Jenny. And welcome to the Missing Manual.
Yeah, we're so excited about this one.
Before we dive in, I have to showcase one of my favorite coffee mugs, which is always have a great day, but then so I always have to be mindful of what meetings I'm in and when I have it, because I might have to drink like this.
Yes. And in the honor of Ted Lasso coming out, I've got Be a Goldfish.
Have you been watching the new?
Yes.
Yes.
So good. So good. There's a new episode that comes out. I have a dinner I have to go to, and my husband was asking, where do you want to go? I was like, well, kind of somewhere that's a little shorter because we have Ted Lasso to watch. He's like, that's not a good reason. It's like,
yes, it is.
It's an honest reason. So, yes, Ted Lasso is wonderful. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. And it's a good one. But yeah, conferences. And you and I actually met at a conference.
We did. We met at the first Unleash in Las Vegas several years ago.
Back in the day. It was so fun.
So there are so many conferences out there. Being in a practitioner role, I always found it challenging because you have limited budget and then so many different ones. Like I never went to LinkedIn's Talent Connect. Never went to Indeed's. Like some of the vendor sponsored ones to me were too narrow focused to spend time there. Although I was on customer advisory boards for a couple tech companies and I'd go to their user conferences at times, but never felt the desire to go to LinkedIn or Indeed's conferences. But then I had to really kind of pick and choose and determine which out of the more industry-based conferences were important to me. I never went to any SHRM conferences because to me, SHRM always thought of talent acquisition as an afterthought. And so I just didn't find it to be as valuable for my career and trajectory. That may have changed now. If you're listening and you're a SHRM member and you're in talent acquisition, would love to hear your thoughts.
SHRM Talent. I'm a big fan of that one. It also is really good for getting in front of different vendors. If you're looking to shop vendors, I found SHRM Talent was a really good one.
Okay.
And honestly, their content was pretty good. I've never done the big SHRMs, but I've done the Minnesota SHRM. I presented at Ohio SHRM and Michigan SHRM and California or Pyra and like a bunch of the other ones. But
when I was coming up, there was no like real TA related content.
Really?
It was very limited when I started my career. So I think just as I've grown and developed, I just maybe, poo-pooed it because of the quality when they first started was lacking.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, just when you look at it, right, you've got the SHRM competency model, you've got the different competencies that are there for like that big circle or whatever. And the fact that the original one didn't include talent acquisition at all, right, is kind of, that's telling. It's like, well, why would I invest my time there? But I think they have responded a bit more. But yeah, I think you're bringing up a good point. We really it falls into different buckets, right? You've got your vendors or like your Indeeds, your Phenoms, your Workdays, your essentially look at whoever you've got under your existing vendor stack. Now AI can help you do this, right? So like, here's my existing vendor stack. I've got Oracle, I've got this, I've got that, right? Go find if they have user conferences. A lot of this, if you are a user, you can typically get a free ticket for the vendor conferences. And sometimes you can get your travel covered too, which is nice. Always go to look for that because often your salespeople have levers in the back end for that. But I would say you've got state, you've got national, and then you've got vendor conferences. What am I missing?
There's probably some local ones. So I think, you've got your vendors.
Like we've got Learn Locally here, which is leading edge of HR tech, which is a big one. And then we've got Minturn, which is Minnesota Talent Recruiting Network. I'm in Minnesota, by the way. So there's some local different ones that you can do. But yeah, if you're looking at, I think first it's like identifying what are the outcomes that you're trying to drive for what you want to do, right? If you're looking at low cost, there's also a lot of free conferences that are out there. We've got one coming up soon with our friends at Hire Easy, right? What day is that one, Julia?
I'm hoping it's next week and not this week, but I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of social posts from some of our industry friends who are speaking at the conference. And I know we just had recently TA Week over the summer, which offers up a lot of great content over a full week's time. So that's one to always keep an eye out. And then a lot of times there are webinars and things that are going on. One of my favorites is coming up around the corner. That's RecFest. And Jenny and I are going to be hosting the Unplug stage, which is going to be on the first day. We are the hostesses with the mostest, and that stage is going to be focused on different leaders and people within the TA space, and it's all panels. So it's moderated conversations with people at different companies, so you're going to get a wide variety of voices heard throughout the day. So we're super excited for that.
We are so excited for that. And I think when I personally look at conferences, I'm looking at where can I learn, where can I grow, right? There are some conferences that are in our space that are much more vendor led, where the vendors are kind of paying for spots to be able to sell their thing, right? They tend to gravitate towards the groups that attract the people that are doing truly good or truly different or innovative work, and giving somebody a stage for that. And I am a huge fan of RecFest because there's also something about being outside the traditional four walls of a normal room, right? Like, I mean, how many conferences have we gone to where it's at a ballroom and we end up crossing paths in a vendor hall, or like at a session or something like that? And I mean, usually when you look around, you'll see 50% of people that are kind of on their computer still working their day job when they're in those sessions or doing those things. And that's not as much the case at RecFest. And I think part of it is because, again, it is an outdoor festival, right? And so there's something about being outside of the traditional four walls that seems like people really do unplug a bit. And the content is absolutely fire. And they've got Andrew that's leading the way this year, and really excited for all the changes that he's making and the intentionality he's bringing to the programming side of it, which will be so much fun.
Yeah, and I think you'll see some new and fresh voices also, and not always the same people.
Yes.
Or some of the same people might be talking about fresh and different things. So we'll see a little bit of both. And I'm excited to host and get to hear all of the different sessions we're hosting. And then I think on day 2, I'll be on a panel, and you'll be on a panel as well. We can talk more about that another time. When I think about conferences, I think you brought something up that's really important is, what are your goals and objectives, and make sure that you're spending your time and money wisely. So if you are looking for new vendors, then going to a place like the HR Technology Conference is really important. I went to HR Tech, crazily enough, for the very first time, the big HR Tech in Vegas last year. And
that was your first year?
Yeah. I was there was like a TA Tech version of it at one point that I went to, but out of all these years, I never made it to HR Tech. I was at companies where the HRIS team ended up going to it, and not...
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Not me as TA.
It's such a crazy small world. I think of it like it's just so... I don't know. I think I've gone to 4 or 5 at this point. It's kind of crazy, but I've spoken at it several times.
Then I say,
but it is a good
Tech.
Spot.
Unleash is another good one.
Yeah.
From that kind of...
HR Tech would definitely have the broadest and the deepest, though. But also you can do your research beforehand and make sure that whatever subset of vendors that you're looking for will be present.
But those types of conferences are the ones that have more of that vendor-led sessions, where you're going to have like a Paradox doing a session with one of their customers, kind of like a white paper session, and you're going to get a little more of that than at some of the others. I know one that's near and dear to our heart that's a little more custom and smaller, more, I'd say regional, but is Evolve, which our good friend Anna puts on. And it's bringing people together in a smaller environment, and that's more practitioner focused on the work versus vendor focused. There are conferences and events of every flavor. There are vendors that are bringing together people in small business groups, and there's the big conferences. And it looks like we lost Jenny. So while last week I was having technical issues with my setup when I was in Florida, it looks like Jenny may have had some issues. When I start thinking about conferences, I think about what is the problem I'm trying to solve? Are there vendors there if I'm looking for vendors, or are there specific topics or aspects of the craft of the work that I'm doing that are going to be covered at this conference? Are the speakers, are they showing up from the brands that I admire or might want to learn from? And I look at all of those different aspects when I'm making decisions on which conferences I show up to and which I don't. And then I also talk to my peers in the space and see if I haven't been to a specific conference, I'm going to ask people that I know who've been to it to hear what their experiences were with it. So those are a couple of takeaways as you start evaluating which conferences you're going to be at. Jenny and I, as I said, will be at RecFest. So that is in Nashville. It is September 23rd and 24th. If you've got questions about it, please reach out to either of us, and we'll wrap it up here. Jenny hasn't made it back, so I'm going to close us out. Thanks for watching and listening to The Missing Manual. Please like and subscribe. That helps keep us going. And if you can leave us some comments around topics you want to hear about, that would be great too. Thanks, everyone.